Be confident, be bold, be authentic, but don't forget to take action. This is Ordinary to Badass, where our stories empower women to step into the spotlight of their own lives and pursue what they're truly passionate about. It's time to step into the arena and become more than just extraordinary. It's time to become a badass with your host, Marie Sonneman.
Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 294. In this episode, you're going to hear why Jessie Torres is 3 badass, and I'll share 3 reasons with you. So before we get to it, if you loved this episode, or if you love this episode, or the last episode of Ordinary to Badass, if you've been listening to this podcast at all, share it with a friend. If you're, whatever podcast app you're playing on, usually there's 3 dots at the top and you can click that and click share and text it to your friend, email it to your friend, let them know. That way, other badasses just like you can find the show. And if you don't feel like doing that, head on over to iTunes, leave a 5-star rating and review. Every stinking review helps, and I appreciate you because I want other badasses just like you to find the show. With that, let's get to it. Welcome to Ordinary to Badass, episode number 294. In this episode, you're going to hear all about Jessie Torres. We heard from her in the last episode, and she is a peak performance coach and had so many good tips and tricks to share. And if you didn't listen to it, that's going to be one you definitely want to go back and listen to, because Jessie had so much hardship, so much trauma that she overcame. And man, it's like even one of the things that she went through could take somebody out. But all of the stuff she has went through and overcome, it's really powerful. And so go back and listen to it, because seriously, it reminds you sometimes how hard life is, or other people have it worse than you, but yet maybe I don't know, they're getting through life. They're rocking it. She's killing it, right? And she's had so many hard things happen to her. So sometimes it just helps to put things into perspective, or help you to realize, okay, she went through that, then I can go through this, whatever thing you're going through now. I can go through it too. I can push past this. I can get through this. So let's get into it. I'm going to share 3 reasons why Jessie Torres is so badass. So the first reason why Jessie is so badass is because of the lengths that she went through to get through her trauma. She's like, I had to try every single thing I could possibly find to get through all of the trauma that I've been through. Like, she had to figure out meditation. She looked at mindset tools, or how she could be calm, and really had to dive into a bunch of different things to help her figure out what would get her through the things she was going through, because it was so stinking hard. And you know what? I say that's badass. I say that's really badass, because a lot of people, we're not taught to cope with these things or how to handle these horrible life events. And a lot of times we think the answer is, okay, try to keep moving, stuff it down, or we get stuck in grief or trauma and don't do anything to move past it. Now, I am not blaming you. You are where you are for a reason, but there can be ways to navigate out of it, right? Maybe you go to therapy. Maybe you start meditation, or try Reiki, which is like an energy healing process. You can try different things. It's not a one size fits all. What works for Jessie, what works for me, it might not work for you. So you tweak it and you try it. You try different things. Maybe it's sitting out in nature and that makes you feel better. You look at different things, or try and experiment and learn. Say, what helps me? What makes me feel better? And then you do that. Maybe it's yoga, right? Haven't really talked about it, but I've been doing yoga, and it surprises me how much it like calms my mind, and it's kind of a meditation through movement. But unless I tried it, I wouldn't really know. And side note, I really have no balance. So I suck at yoga, but I love it. I find it so peaceful and so calming. So you find your thing, you find what works for you, and you stick with it. So I think it's badass that Jessie kept digging. She kept doing all the work and trying to figure out, okay, what's going to work for me in this situation? What's going to work for me in this situation? She was sexually abused as a child, kind of had a rough childhood growing up. Her dad had like different identities, like 2 different wives in different places, and was kind of lying to the family. So she had all that stuff. And then she was in a bad marriage. And over there, she's had 2 brothers murdered. 2. That's crazy, right? Having 1 brother murdered would be awful. But then having 2, that's nuts. And the last one, her brother was murdered 3 months before we did this podcast episode. So she did what she had to do to heal herself. And that's not always easy. It's not always easy facing her emotions, facing the trauma, facing the stuff that's so freaking hard. And it seems like it would be easy to like numb the pain through shopping or alcohol or food, any of the things that people do to numb their pain, right? But Jessie really dealt with her emotions and really had to dig in. So I think that's badass. And that alone, we could just drop the mic and leave the episode there, but we'll continue on. But if you're going through something, seek help. Seek help. And Jessie even talked about that in the episode too. She's like, find like a sisterhood to support you. And if you don't have one, then find one. Go out and look for one, because there are communities where women are supported. Ordinary to Badass, one of them. Her community, like Fierce Grace, that's one of them. Go find communities to support you in whatever you are struggling with. So many times we think we're on an island of our own, and we don't realize that everybody is struggling with the same thing that we are. Or maybe not everybody, but there are a bunch of people, probably millions of people in the world, struggling with the same exact thing that you are. And we think that it's just us, which can be so isolating and lonely. But it's not just you. So seek out those people. And seek out trusted people, right? You don't have to go tell your dirt to anybody who will listen, but seek out people who you can trust and tell them. Or find these communities, and then when you're at a safe, you realize you're in a safe place and you can trust them and you can talk, then do so. Okay. I feel like it's kind of echoing in here, so my apologies if you're getting feedback. But second reason why Jessie Torres is so badass is for entering the weight loss or weightlifting competition. So Jessie was terrified. She was like going to a gym and like wanted nothing to do with the competition. She's like, I didn't want to be in a swimsuit. There was no part of that where I wanted to be in a swimsuit. And so she's like, nope, they asked her and she was out. She was like, not for me, right? And then like she kept going to the gym, and then they're like, oh, we're going for a dress fitting. Come to the dress fitting. And she found like a $300 dress and just like, this is amazing. And so then she kind of ended up doing the competition when she wasn't expecting it, but she had this saying, and I loved it. If I can't do it, then I must. So if you say you can't do something, if you say something's too hard for you, then you must. You must try it. If you think public speaking is terrifying, then you must, just to push past that, just so you're not like always behind a wall, or you're not always like stopping yourself from doing these hard things. And sometimes when you do a hard thing and you push past it, it helps you to do another hard thing and another hard thing and another hard thing. So you can push past it. You don't have to stay stuck. And maybe it doesn't, like the hard things are still hard, but it gets a little bit easier to move to the next step. And that's what Jessie said. She's like, it helps me to be able to move on. I can do hard things. And she realizes she can do hard things. And so even if something's like still terrifying to you, it feels like, where you get that feeling in your throat. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about, but like, where you don't want to speak, or you just feel like, I'm really sick. I don't know what to do. If you can't, you must. And there's, like Jessie was saying, there's 2 different things. There's a thing where you're like, it's going to traumatize you. It's going to paralyze you. It's going to whatever. Okay, fine. But there's also just a fear, and the fear that we can get over, and we're just not letting ourselves get over. But the more that we say no to it, and that we keep saying like, oh, I'm scared of this, I can't do it, then like the bigger the fear grows. I don't know if you've noticed that. The more you avoid something You're like building a story up in your head. You're making it worse than it is. And that's controlling you more than anything else. And that's having a big effect on your life. So if you can't, you must. And Jessie said, like, courage doesn't exist without the elements of fear. So, like, that's the beauty of fear, right? Fear has to exist in order to have courage. So you have to be able to push past that fear for the courage to, like, come through. And I know back in the day when I was doing Toastmasters, which helps with public speaking, I heard somebody say, like, when you get that anxiety, when you get that nervousness, just be like, yay, like, excitement is here. It's here. Because excitement and fear can be very close to each other. But it's kind of one of those things. It matters how you frame it in your head. So, like, instead of being like, oh, crud, like, fear's here, I feel the anxiety, I feel the nerves, I'm going to shut down, I can't do this, versus, like, yay, it's here. Excitement is here. I feel it in my body. I feel the electricity. I'm ready to do this. It has shown up for me. It's all about phrasing. It's about how you look at it. And I know that can be hard. And sometimes we have to remind ourselves of those things, right? That anxiety could be excitement. And they are a lot of the same feelings in your body. So how are you going to phrase it? And what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? And how can you take one step to move closer to doing it? Even if it's dipping your toe over the edge, like Dr. Mike Bechtel said when he was on the podcast, right? You don't have to completely step out of your comfort zone, but just put your toe over the edge. Jessie was saying a similar thing, right? Just get a little bit out of your comfort zone. It doesn't have to be anything crazy, but just take that one step out of your comfort zone. You'd be surprised where that gets you. Okay. Third reason why Jessie Torres is so badass is because her ability to speak on it. Now, Jessie said when you're going to speak about certain things or you need to share certain things, talk to somebody safe, right? You don't always have to go out and talk to somebody who is not going to listen to you or who is going to be threatening. But if you have stuff going on, speak on it, speak to it. There is a power in using your voice and speaking up instead of just holding everything in and becoming so hardened and angry. And Jessie, something that I thought was super cool is her ability to have hard conversations. Now, she would have hard conversations with people, but in a way that was non-accusatory. So often we think like, oh man, this really bothered me. This hurt my feelings. And my apologies, my throat felt a little weird there. But we think that to have these conversations, it's got to be accusatory or we got to go all in and defend our side. But like Jessie said, you don't have to do that. You can just say, I appreciate that this is what happened and here's what came up for me. Or she said, honor people. When you honor the other person, they don't feel the need to defend. And so she talked about a conversation that she had with her mom. And her mom was always like, oh, well, you're spending $9.99 on this wallpaper or whatever it was, or this cupboard lighting. You know you can get the same thing for $1 at the dollar store, right? And so her mom would constantly be making comments about how much money she was spending or what she was doing. And so she told her mom, hey, Mom, you've raised me to be very good with my money and to be very conscious with money. And so I know when I'm spending money, if I have enough money for it or what I'm spending it on, I'm aware of that because you raised me so well. But every time you say X, Y, or Z, this is what comes up for me. I question my purchases. I wonder if I should be doing this. And I start to doubt myself. Or it hurts my feelings. And this is what my mindset is. And her mom had no idea what she was thinking. Her mom had no idea that those comments were affecting her in that way. And she didn't take it offensive because Jessie had started it with saying, like, you did an awesome job raising me. You helped me with money and you helped me get to where I am today. And so she really honored her mom. So there was no threatening feeling there, but then she proceeded by saying, this is what came up for me. So it's pretty hard for somebody to get defensive when you're saying, this is what came up for me, especially after you honor them, right? So maybe think about that. Or even if you're not ready for it, the next time a hard thing comes up, right? You can note to self, this is what mom or dad does that always drives me bonkers. You don't even have to say anything to them in that moment. Go home or get by yourself and write it down. Write down what they said. And then write down a safe way of saying it, a non-accusatory way of saying it. Like, you appreciate something that they did, but this is how it makes you feel, or this is what comes up for you, the emotions that come up, and say that. So if you're writing it down, next time it happens, then you have a way to approach it. You already know what to say. You don't have to come up with it on the fly, because if you're anything like me, I am horrible with coming up with these things on the fly. Or, you know what? You can always just wait. You can say, okay, I wrote it down. I have it. And then the next conversation you have with this person, you could say, hey, you know, when this happened, this is how it made me feel, or this is what came up for me. And so say it on your own terms. Like maybe you meet for coffee, right? And say what came up for you, but you already have it planned out. You already have it written down. For me, as an introvert, writing things down is so helpful for me. I can often process things by writing them down a lot quicker or a lot easier, and it feels more thorough than when I have to speak it out. So writing things down can be helpful, and pre-planning can be helpful so that emotions don't get in the way in the actual moment. So yes, Jessie Torres, her episode was so stinking good. I'm going to want to go back and listen to it again. And I've already heard it at least 2 times. So, all right, quick recap. 3 reasons why Jessie Torres is so badass. First, for the lengths she went through to get through her trauma. 2, for entering the weightlifting competition. And 3, for speaking on it. So reach out, let Jessie know what an impact she had on you, how she helped you change something, what you're going to implement, what you have implemented, any of those things, because it's hard for people to be vulnerable, share their truths and share the hard things that have happened to them. And so when they do, we want to reach out and say, you are such a badass. This helped me so much. This is what it helped me get through, or this is what it changed my mind about. I'm going to try to do this. Don't be afraid. Reach out. Let her know the impact that she had on you. And with that, we'll end the show. To all the badass women out there staying in the arena, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, own it and get after it.
Now that you've listened to this episode of Ordinary to Badass, we want to hear from you. Go to our website, ordinarytobadass.com/podcast, and submit your own experience on how you took your life from ordinary to badass and get the chance to be on a future spotlight episode of the show. That's ordinarytobadass.com/podcast. While you're waiting for the next episode of the show, wipe off the sweat, dust off the dirt, and get back in the arena.